Evening, folks. Welcome back to the Leeds View for tonight and this week's podcast. I'm joined, as always, by Gerry McNamee. Paul has had to drop out tonight for a little bit of an emergency, which we hope all is well there. But we'll chat with Gerry about a lot of bits and pieces to get stuck into tonight. We've got a returning Andrea Radrizzani, so we did a couple of polls on that. We've got a short giveaway announcement to make on the winners, as well as looking ahead to the next 4 games and the Yorkshire Post's early season poll on the sentiment from the fans of where we are right now. We won't get into talking about Ireland's disappointment too much because we did win a game of football, although it wasn't great to watch. But I will talk to our resident Irish attendee who was pictured singing the national anthem with pride on the TV today, television star Gerry McNamee. Gerry, how are you doing, mate?
Not bad, yes. I got a lot of, we were in a spot where the camera was on us, and, I don't like the limelight that much, but yeah, that was a bit cringy. It was fantastic. If you get a chance to go to Lisbon, it's a fantastic city, really nice, beautiful, warm. Pink Street is a place to go. Loads of bars, lots of Irish folks. There was about 2,700 of us there, and rearguard action last night against Armenia was... We needed to win, but Hungary equalised, so we need a bit of a miracle. No, we're not going, are we? So, hard times for the Irish for the last few years, but we'll be back someday.
Yeah, we'll hopefully get to a World Cup before our time on this planet is done, Gerry. We'll hope we see one more competition. If FIFA keep increasing the World Cup at this rate, everyone will be in it. So we'll get to one just by accident anyway. So there'll be something.
Yeah. Wouldn't bet this.
We got a bit of stuff to get stuck in. I do want to do this first out of the way. And we've been doing the giveaway on the channel all week with ourselves, and back 4 is a commemorative AC Milan versus Leeds United. It does look like an older jersey, but if you look up nice and close, you can actually see it is Leeds United versus AC Milan in Dublin. It's got a nice little detail on the sleeve as well. It's all embroidered of the Leeds View logo as well as the back 4 logo. So I've been giving them away for the last 2 weeks. We've got our winners, which I'm going to announce now. If you hear your name and you're watching this, all you've got to do is go on to Back 4's Instagram page and send Gav an instant message, and he'll be able to get in touch with you that way and organise getting them sent out to you. Our winners are Lee Petcher, Joe Doyle, and Sam Kay, as well as another one, which was on a second text, which is going to Lee. I think it's Lee Dalby, but Lee will know who they are because they were contacted. Lee Durham. Sorry, Lee. So there are winners of the competition. I'll mention them again in the news in the morning. I'll put them on a post in the tags as well so you can see them. But yeah, go over to Back 4 on Instagram to that post and just give them a contact and they'll organise getting them sent out to you. So thanks to everybody that got involved in that. It's a tricky 2 weeks with international breaks as well. So all the comments and interactions really help with keeping the channel pumping along during that period of time. So massive thanks to everyone that got involved in that lovely top. And they will be available to buy on a limited run on Monday over at back4.com. The link is down below. If you use that link, it's my affiliate link. It will bring you to Back 4, and then you'll be able to order them on Monday. I'll remind you again in the news next week because some people have been asking if they can actually buy them. So they will go on sale for a limited run. There's the white, the blue, and the yellow as well. So you'll have a choice of colours in that. They're lovely. They're really nice top. The long sleeve ones are lovely. Highly recommend them. And I'm quite long armed and tall, and it fits me really, really well. So if you're a tall person, there you go. They'll fit you. Right, let's crack on, Gerry. We've got a bit of stuff. I'm going to throw this up on the screen because this popped up during the week. I'll just pause the comments for a quick second. This man is on his way back to Elland Road. He did an interview during the week where he talked about regrets during his time at Leeds United, probably the way it ended more than anything else. But as has been said, there were some good parts to Radrizzani. It didn't finish well. We put a poll out to the channel and on X as well to people to ask, what were your thoughts? Would you welcome him back at the club? Yes, no, or if you're undecided. And on the YouTube views from just about 800 votes, 38% are in favour of him coming back for a game. 45% are not, and 16% were undecided. Over on X, the sentiment shifted slightly the other direction, with 53% in favour of him coming back for a match, 31.6% said no, and then 15% undecided. So as a grouping of people, and as I always say, everyone is entitled to their own opinion on these things, it seems pretty much split down the middle. But I want to ask Gerry for his take on this. Gerry, what are your thoughts on Andrea Radrizzani returning to Leeds United? He's only coming to watch a match. His son's a fan of the club. Where do you sit on this?
I'm sort of split down the middle. I've no real truck with him. I suppose if you analyse his whole tenure at Leeds, he came in when we had Cellino, and we know what that was like, and he bought 50% share, and then he took over, and we had a stable club then, steady. We had some money, got Bielsa, maybe by accident, I don't know. And mixed decisions. Was he involved with the badge? I can't remember. It was a bit,
He was.
but yeah, that was a mad moment. I think we saw from the documentaries, he does like the camera, and most of the first part of that dog was about him. But if he had the best interests of Leeds at heart, and he liked a bit of camera, I can give him that. I suppose like Peter Ridsdale or someone, he wanted to do, it didn't come in and want to do damage. He wanted to do well, and said Bielsa, we had that ride up, brilliant couple of seasons, and then getting rid of Bielsa, he said himself he regretted the timings on that. The appointments of Jesse Marsh, he's even said Jesse should have gone earlier. We all know that'd be the right thing. But I suppose the thing that I'd really hold against him was when he probably stayed a season too long, because Bielsa said we need to replenish this team, 150 million. They hadn't got it. You haven't got the money. But I remember when he did leave and Sampdoria, there was that talk allegedly that he put club up as collateral for the loan to take Sampdoria, and that was a bit uncomfortable. But he's part of our history, a part of a successful part. And if he comes back, I'd see him and go, yeah. If I knew him, I'd say hi. Yeah, I wouldn't give him a standing ovation, but I don't think we'd give him stick really. He's made bad decisions. I think he recognises those. I mean, and took us down, and he got the 49ers in who got the funding. So put us from where we were from the early 2000s right through to Chileno, those mad days when we were bust and everything else. He sort of steadied us, and set us up to where we are. We're in the Premier League, and hopefully we've got a few quid behind us when we get through these PRS things. So I would say, if he want to come back and watch the game, then so be it. He's part of our history and part of a bit of success. And if he holds his hands up to the mistakes, you can give him that. Yeah, everybody makes mistakes. So that's a non-story, really. When I go to the game, next couple of games, I won't really be thinking of the West Ham game. I suppose the home game, I won't really be thinking of him. And a lot of fans got other things and more important things on our mind. So, yeah, give him a cup of tea and let him have a drink and enjoy himself, and we'll take it from there.
I think I'd be happier if he bought a ticket and sat in the stands rather than getting the red carpet treatment and being put into the director's area. But it is.
We all like a bit of corporate, don't we?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to it. Yeah, it'd be nice, comfy seats and a nice view. Yeah, it'd be good. Yeah. But I think you're probably right, and everyone has different takes on this. And I was very much of the side of your time is up, time to go. And I was keen to see him leave after what he did, and for me, I've always likened it to, it's like breaking up with your ex. She moves out, but she decides to put your house up as collateral to buy her new house. I mean, you wouldn't be okay with that. No. And I think it was more the comments. It was the case of not only did he put Ellen Road up as collateral to try and get a loan to buy Sampdoria, it was when he was pulled up on it, he said, "It's my asset. I can do what I want with it." And I think that was maybe there were some things said, but he's hasn't held his hand up to that one. It was notable that Ellen Road was minus out of the interview, but he has put his hand up to Jesse Marsh. He said he shouldn't have sacked Bielsa when he did, or he should have looked to do it during the summer beforehand when they discussed it at that point as well, which I think had come up that they were going to look at doing 2 years and then moving on. They decided to stick a bit longer. He knew they needed to revamp, and he didn't have the money. He knew he didn't have the money, and it's the old Batman line, isn't it? You can either leave a hero or stay around long enough to become a villain. And I think by the time he left, he was more the villain than the hero. But he did put the foundations in place that got Leeds back to the Premier League the first time. But he did stay around too long. That unfortunately brought Leeds back out of the Premier League. But the foundations were built, got us Bielsa, did bring the 49ers in, and they've gotten us back up to the Premier League as well. So Victor Orta probably being the biggest stain on his time at the club and in his antics more than anything else in his carry on. But yeah, he'll be back. I believe he's back for the West Ham game. But as has been said, and for anyone popping in, it's more a case of his son is a Leeds United fan and wants to come and see a game, and he is still a fan himself, and he says that he feels the time is right to show his face, and he had major regrets around not attending the games towards the back end of the relegation season. He said he should have been there, and he realizes that, and he's made a mistake. And that's fair. I mean, he's held his hand up and he said he's wrong. Unlike Ridsdale, who still to this day sits back and went, I did nothing wrong. Everything was fine when I left, So yeah, slightly different case, but yeah, it'll be an interesting reception nonetheless. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how he gets on.
Yeah, and I remember with the day we were relegated against Spurs, and there was such a vacuum for days. There was no, sorry, this is not a great day, blah blah. It was nothing, and I sort of hold that. So if the black marks on his card, those are the ones. But the rest of the time, I think overall we're in a sort of better place, and we haven't got Victor Orta. So there we go.
Yeah. A couple people saying DNM and a YouTuber probably didn't help either. It didn't. Those kind of tweets. I mean, that brought us back to the GFH times where they were contacting journalists and asking them what players should we sign and using Football Manager as a scouting network. So yeah, there was. We've had a weird couple of years, but that's behind us now. But yeah, so we will see him at West Ham at some. I'm sure he'll be pictured. I'm sure there'll be something done around it. I think the advice I would give the club is keep it as low key as possible. Let him come watch the game and then let him go home and leave it at that.
Don't have him on the pitch at halftime. That's what I'll say. Don't get him out at halftime.
But don't. Yeah, I mean that would be.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, that would be a bit naughty. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah,
we'll go for that.
The other prank to get stuck into, Gerry, the YEP did a survey this week, and they've looked at Leeds fan sentiment around a couple of different aspects. We'll go through them one by one. I'd love to get your thoughts on them as well. But the first one was Leeds' performance so far this season. Where do you rate it? And then what's come out is 2/3 of everyone that answered the survey have said it's above expectations. So they expected us obviously to be in the relegation zone, and we're not there at the moment. 36% said it was average so far, and 1.5% of people said that it was below expectation. Where would you sit on that?
I would say, if we'd converted a couple of those points, like the late winner or the late defeat and goal against Fulham, and maybe getting it, we should have drew against Spurs, I think we were above average, and I think that's just brought it down a bit. But I would say average to above average, if that's not. If we're doing 10, I think we're 6.5, 7, and I think everybody's generally happy with how we've done. And it's been okay to watch, and we're a bit sturdier, but we just need to convert a few of those points. And we've not had the best of luck. We had a late penalty against Everton, but my mantra always is 4 points from every 3, and that's the trajectory we're on at the moment. So happy, yeah. And the next few weeks will make us is vital. This is a vital period we're coming into, which can change that dial very quickly.
Yeah, the first half of the first part of the season, we've played a team that are 3rd, 4th, 8th, and 11th in those 7 games. So to be where we are and have the points that we've got is probably a decent enough one so far. In terms of the aims for the season, 80% of people said that the aim was to avoid relegation, while 20% believe we should be sitting in around mid-table. That's the goal, should be to get mid-table. Are we slightly ahead of ourselves in that one?
I think, of course, it's to stay up. And you have to aim for the centre. So really hedging me bets here. But yeah, you got to be aiming for mid-table, so you're not hanging on last day or got a few awkward end of game seasons. So I think staying up is number one priority, and I think that's 80% reflects that. But you would hope that looking at the league this season, it's a bit more level, and I think mid-table is achievable. But 17th to spare, I'll be very happy with. Being 10 points clear on 17th will be fine. Yeah, that'd be great. But it's gonna be.
I would agree. Yeah, it's got to be tight. Yeah. I think as you're right, we'll get to the next 4 games, but I think that they're really important into where the fan sentiment will shift coming out of that. That'd be interesting to see what the people think after those run of games. But the one that was interesting was because if you look online, you would say that there's probably a 50-50 split in the fan base between those who think Farke's doing a good job and those who think Farke's not doing a good job. However, the survey, and it was put out online, 69% of people believe that Daniel Farke is doing his job above expectations. 16% say he's in and around average. 13% went as far as to say that he's been outstanding this season. And 1% said that he's below average. Did that shock you at all?
Yeah, I would say he's adapted. I think if we just looked at the Arsenal game, you think, oh my God, he's going to try and play the same way, and this is not going to work. But he has adapted. We've got 3 defensive-minded midfielders. We're more solid. Look at, again, we always said the Arsenal game, take it out. We've been, conceding goals and very hard to beat, and started scoring as well. So I think, in a sense, where people were ready to sack him very quickly, even sack him before the season started, he's exceeded expectations, not massively, but again, it could change. I think you mentioned earlier on in your podcast earlier today, if if by December we haven't won another game, then that's very much underrated, and he's probably gone. So he's on tenterhooks, but I think he's done okay, and I think tactically, a couple of times you think, why that sub, why this, why that, maybe making substitutions during a set piece, but otherwise, Joe Rodon scored a goal. Joe Rodon scored 2 goals.
Two,
yeah. Or as somebody said, he had his twin on the pitch, Joe Rodent, the other night. Did you see that?
Saw that.
The Welsh, that was brilliant. But anyway, we've still got other players to come in as well. So I think he's done better than expected as far as I'm concerned. I hope he succeeds, because if he succeeds, we're succeeding. And we don't want to be Nottingham Forest changing manager again.
But that'll be interesting to see, actually. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to that, because that will be an interesting fact. Just pick a lane for us. Do you want expansive attacking football, or do you want hoofball and defensive football? And pick a lane at this stage. But that'll be interesting. Vega making a very good point. Above expectation doesn't necessarily mean it's good. It just means it's above what you thought that you would do. I'm assuming that the expectation was 17th, and you're above that. So good job so far.
Doing okay. Doing okay.
I think it's fine so far. And again, the next 4 games could change that massively, and how that's viewed specifically. January moves is interesting. There's a lot of talk about January. We know Robbie Evans made that comment in his interview at the end of the summer window, where he said we'd maxed out PSR and we were hoping to avoid January moves. Now, he didn't rule out January moves. He said we're hoping to avoid it. Now, there's a couple of different football finance experts have looked at things and believe Leeds have extra money there, and they might have money in the bank that wasn't included in PSR, and they can use that. But in the poll, 94.7% of people said Leeds need to do business in January. 0.8% said we're fine, which I think tells the 49ers that everyone watching this thinks you're still short.
Yeah. Who's that 0.8%? Was that Prague?
Yeah, it's great.
I think, what the fan base is like. If that month of January, if we're not doing business, we'll be going off the scale. It was like that last day. I think we do. We do need to, in forward positions. We got Dan James and Willie are injured. It's a heavy workload in the Premier League. Do we need another striker? Somebody in midfield? Obviously a number 10. Whether in number 10 can be accommodated the way we're set up, but that's the sort of position I would be definitely in that 94%. Just because I like to sign new players and have new stuff coming in. And I think defensively we're solid, unless we need to back up. I think we certainly got enough fullbacks. So I think that we do need to sign just sign someone to keep us all happy. Doesn't matter who it is. Can we somebody fictitious off Championship manager? Just get somebody in.
Already talks about Spurs. We're not talking about Spurs after last night's game, right? He was very good.
He could have scored. Good player. He is a good player. And I was watching him closely. Just can't pronounce his name. Yeah.
Good play. In fact, they were down to 10 players and he was still picking the ball and trying to run at Ireland and try and get forward. It tells me everything I need to know. He's got an eye for a pass. He really does find gaps between players.
That seemed to be, because he was playing in Russia and everything, it seemed to take a longer time. But whether that's something they're working on, I don't know. But
you're not going to give money to anybody who can profit from the war in Ukraine, and the owner of Krasnodar is linked to Putin. So therefore, we're not allowed to give him money. But there's ways around it. I think Sunderland did it last year with Isidore. It's the money goes into an escrow account and sits there until the war is over, and then they have access to it. The player can leave. The other way around is the player can actually cancel his contract, and but he has to tell them before the season starts that he wants to leave, and then they cancel the contract so he can't do that now. So it was a bit more complicated towards the back end of the window. He made a comment saying that he was staying put, but apparently information that came out afterwards was he wasn't aware that Leeds had actually come back in for him a second time when he made those comments. So it kind of fell between the cracks, and Leeds moved on to other targets. But you said we've loads of fullbacks. One thing we've got loads of, Gerry, is a goalkeeper, but that hasn't stopped people looking for another one. 97.9% of people said that Leeds need to sign an attacker in January, which I think we agree with. Yeah. One individual fan, and the YEP listed it not as a percentage, as an individual person. One person wants a goalkeeper. We've already got 4.
Or 5 if you count Rory Mahidi, who's decent as well, and Alex Cairns. And we don't need a goalkeeper. I think it's fairly safe to say we got a team of goalkeepers. So no, don't worry about that. Somebody's just like, maybe it's an agent looking to sell a goalkeeper. I don't know, but no, we don't need a goalkeeper. We're fine. Yeah.
We'll see what happens with actually the team come from Burnley. Does Lucas Perry come back in? Is he fit? does Darlow hold on to a spot? It'll be an interesting decision. There's a couple of decisions we'll talk about when we get to that, but it will be interesting. In terms of the summer business, 45.9%, so about 46% of people were content with the business. I fall into that bracket. It was fine. Would have liked one more, but it was fine. 26.8% were very happy, and 23% were disappointed with it. Where did you sit?
I thought we started well early on, and again, it's the fan base. It was those last few days that sort of condensed all their attitude into, we missed out on Harry Wilson and your man from Armenia and a few others, and it seemed like we didn't do any business. We signed 12 players, and from what I've seen so far of all of them, they're not bad signings, and some are really good. Longstaff is excellent, and Goodmanson, so, and pick them up relatively cheap compared to what the market is. So yeah, the business, it's just those last few days. If we had got an attacker in the last few days, that would have rounded it off nicely. But yeah, we back to the previous question, we still need to sign more attacking, but we're no, I was generally happy with the business, and I like to see more of the Bijol, which we talked about, and Barnow, as we say. I'm not seeing him at all.
Barnow,
yeah, he's a big lad. But anyway, as a lot of them are. So it'd be interesting to see. But no, happy generally.
Well, Pascal's good for one injury a season. That tends to keep him out for a month or two. So that's when Bornell will probably come in and fill the bench at least for a little bit. We'll talk about Bial again in a few minutes. In terms of the new signings, people were asked about who was the better of the signings that came in. Gabby Goodmunson was rated at the top with 52%, saying that he was the best signing so far. I would be in that bracket. I think he's great. Sean Longstaff at 32.1% and Anton Stack on 11%. And you've already mentioned the two lads in there as well. We haven't seen Bial enough yet. We haven't probably seen enough of Perry. We've seen little to nothing of Borneo. So James Justin is in that bracket as well, as cover more than anything else. But I think all players that can do a job if they needed to do them, Gerry.
Yeah, I think Longstaff in the last 3 or 4 games has been outstanding. We really, his tackling, he scored, his general leadership. I think he has been the best. And Goodmanson's just been steady. I mean, unfortunately, the 2 mistakes, one mistake, freak down at Fulham, and he probably got bundled a bit for the Spurs goal the other day. But other than that, he's a left back, and he stays at left back, and he can tack down the wing. So he's we paid 10 million for him, and I think he's really good. He's not going to the World Cup. Look, he's Swedish, and Sweden have been dreadful. He's Swedish, isn't he? Yeah, they're awful.
They missed out qualifications, they're out.
Yeah. So he's been good, and as you say, we haven't seen much of Perry. He was a bit worrying at Arsenal, not so sure. Haven't seen enough of him, and we, Justin has come in when he's come in for his small cameos. The whole team, Calvert-Lewin. Everybody talks about his hold-up play, leading the line. He just needs to put a few chances away, and he's definitely brilliant sign. Free transfer, can't knock that. So generally, everybody's fitted in nicely, and we've added to complemented what we had last year, and we're just want to. It seems a long time since we've seen them play, so we've a lot of time to contemplate. But I'm looking forward now, pushing on now that we've had 2 transfer windows. 2 international windows that we can really see them in the next 3 or 4 games. So these are boring answers. I should be more controversial here and ranty, shouldn't I? But
I'm liking this. I don't like the controversy and ranty bit. This is okay because
he's got to go. Fark's got to go.
Fark out. Flashing lights. Fark out. Yes. The finishing position is interesting as well. 80% reckon we should be aiming to finish between 11th and 16th, where 18.9% believe between 17th and 20th. I think a lot of people's expectation coming into the start of the season was take 17th right now. Take it, but now apparently they want a little bit higher.
As I said before, I want to be higher. I want to be away from it as much as I can. So I don't think anybody's coming in going, let's aim for 17th. Don't worry about 16th to 12th. It's all about just getting up that table as much as you can. And we saw from the first time we were in last year, we went in a run and we finished 9th. So there's a sort of very, very close 1 or 2 points between teams in that 17th to 10th area, and even the bottom 3 are established team. Well, not Burnley, but established teams. So it's not like last couple of seasons where the 3 promoted were cut adrift. This is very competitive, and we got to keep collecting points, and again back to the 4 from every 3, and we're fine.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll talk about that now. Actually, we get stuck into the next 4 games. We
Yeah.
looked at a couple of weeks ago where Leeds' start to the season was voted by Opta, or ranked by Opta, as being one of the toughest starts for any of the sides in the division at the start of the season. They've ranked the next 4 games for Leeds as probably the second easiest in terms of the run. As you say, there are some very established sides in this run, it makes interesting reading. But of this next sides coming up, Brighton, Forest, West Ham, and Burnley, 3 of them are below us, which means that these essentially become 6-pointers very early in the season. If we can get a good result against the likes of Burnley and West Ham and Forest, then we tend to open a little bit of a gap away from them in the bottom 3. If we were to lose to those sides, they would go ahead of us and we would be dragged very much down into the bottom 3, which again would very much then shift fan sentiment. What are your thoughts coming into these games? Are you looking at Burnley as a must win, Gerry, or is it a case just picking up points?
I'm looking at this as this block of 3 games started with Spurs, and I expected that to be 0. So the home game against West Ham is a win. If we get a draw against Burnley, that's fine. Take 4 points from these next 2 games. I think that's fine. Whatever way we do it could be interchangeable. Easily could win both, but it's vital. But they're very winnable. Burnley have done okay. They've only got 4 points, but they've done generally okay, I think. West Ham, new manager, they're going to have a bit of a bounce. Who is the new manager at West Ham? Oh, it's Nuno. Nuno's come in, yeah. So, I was hoping that Graham Potter would stay for a while until then, but not. So they'll be tighter. That's the way Nuno played, more defensive. I think a minimum 4 points from these 2 games is vital, and that pushes us on next. Just keeps that ticking over. You just got to keep it ticking over. And if we got 4 points, we're on to 12. And you see how that can move you up the table really well. Brighton, then, never get anything at Brighton. It's just one of those grounds you go to. It's not, Brighton is okay. You can't park anywhere now. You have to get a bus out to it. We lose 1-0 there. We've just never had good days at Brighton. So maybe this is Brighton are a funny team as well. They can, on their day, they can beat anybody, but they've been sort of hit and miss. The 2 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats. So they've had but they've got a good team, and we'll see Georgie again, who seems to be not doing much. Ruter,
not a lot.
It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I've seen him. He played the last game, but he's not tearing up any trees. But if we could stay unbeaten in these next 3 or 4, we're talking about. Then is it Forest we've got on the 9th? Yeah, that's again the Ange Willie. You nearly want Forest to get a result, to keep Ange in a job. I mean, Sean Dyche has been heavily linked to it, and I can't really see Ange. I thought this week he would have gone to give an international break, so we've seen. But it's toxic there at the moment from their own fans. So whether if he could just make it to that one and we could get him sacked, and I love Ange, but everyone for himself. That's these are the run of games we got to get a fair few points. If we get nothing out of this, then I think the whole mood, Fark, everything changes. So this is critical point. It's even early on. It's a critical point of the season, because if we got confidence, got comfort of the points on the board, in the table, it just gives us that bit extra. And if Calvert-Lewin's scoring goals in there, and we keep getting players, getting Willie back and Dan James and all this, it's brilliant. That's what we need. And then we're up to another international break. So
Last one till March though, so at least we get a bit of a run after that game. But I suppose it's in a sense. Now, our record isn't great after international breaks. I think we've only won 4 of Daniel Farke's games after internationals, and he makes a point. Used to make a point in the Championship about not having enough time to have his players. Brendan Aronson won't get back to Leeds till tomorrow. Tanaka might get in today, likely tomorrow as well. So both of them, and then there's just time difference for those players to take into consideration as well and travel. So you're not ideal, but everybody else seems to be back and fit and healthy, which means going into Burnley, Gerry, he's got some decisions to make. There was a report. Yacobial is the one to talk about in the centre back position after Pascal's jokes. Relatively shaky enough game against Spurs, and if you look at him, the 2 games where he's probably looked at his weakest, he's been fine for me. He's been good. He's a good player. I like Pascal, but the 2 games where he's probably looked at his weakest were against Arsenal and against Spurs, where players ran at him. And it kind of, the backing off tends to happen more often, than he doesn't engage the ball a little bit, and he can get caught with that. So the question marks coming into international break were around, well, does Jacobial come in for him? He hasn't played any games this season, but he's managed to get 290 minutes for Slovenia in this international break. So he is coming into this game with minutes under his belt. He's had 2 clean sheets as well. He's been called out for praise. He was called, he led the line with authority, was the line in the local paper, as well as keeping the Monaco striker Mbolo to absolutely, they said he was invisible in the game as a result of Bial's marking. And they've actually said if Daniel Farke watched these 2 matches, then Jacobial has to start the next Premier League game against Burnley. If ever there was a chance for him to put him in with games under his belt, this is the opportunity that he has. But it's a important talking point. Does he stick with that back 4? We've started to concede a couple of goals in recent weeks as we've started to score them, or does he bring Bial in now at this point?
I would not be surprised if the same team plays as did against Spurs, but I think when you got Bial on the bench and we bought him as a starter, he's got to start sometimes, and he's on the back, as you say, 2 top international performances. Could be the time. That's, teams make changes, so you don't have to put the same team out every time. Pascal's been great. We know his weaknesses, but he's still been good. And he was only in there first game because Bijol was suspended, and he was good enough to stay in. So he'd be unlucky, but I would not be surprised the same team. But I'm ready to see Bijol. He looks a class player, and it's how he fits in with Joe Rodon and everything else, because Joe Rodon's been superb this year. So it's just getting that understanding together. So I hope he plays, but that's no detriment to Pascal. I think he plays, then we be good. But he's looking over his shoulder, and he's in there. It's like Darlow. You get in and you've got the shirt and you're playing well, then it's for someone to win back. There's no one has the right to come back in, but he's not. He's only played 1 game against Sheffield Wednesday, and that wasn't the best start. But
with the bomb squad.
Yes, yeah. So we don't want him to be a punctuation in the career. So he played for us. Yeah, he played 1 game. We've never seen him again. No, I think we'll see him soon, and hopefully it's not on the back of a bad Pascal game on Saturday that he's in, and we'll see how he is.
Yeah, it's an important decision. Where do you sit on rotation of the squad, Gerry? Because I'm a believer that this is Daniel Farke's squad now after 3 summer transfer windows. The bench is very much his side now as well. And for me, I don't think he rotates enough. I think you should be looking at bringing different players in for different games. We know Daniel Farke likes to sit to a set 11. I agree with you on I wouldn't be shocked if the same 11 rocked up against Burnley. I completely agree with that. Where do you sit on squad rotation in the Premier League now?
He doesn't like to, as you say, he doesn't like to rotate. I think sometimes, I look at the midfield and you think, well, Ampadu and Longstaff, they're straight in and Rodon. But Stack he's a good player, but he's been slightly off it, a bit inconsistent. Tanaka, when he came on second half against Spurs, looked dangerous, but then again, he's on a long journey back. We've not got the options on the wing really with Willie and Dan James being injured. So I think you've got to. He's a man for 70-minute subs. Maybe earlier and change it quicker if things aren't going well at halftime. Do that. It doesn't have to be a wholesale change, and I don't think we've got a strong enough squad to say change 6 players right now. There's no need. Our defense is decent, but there's a few spaces. I say the goalkeeper, centre half, and midfield. I think Tanaka deserves a go, and I think he's a bit frustrated. He's not getting in. Brendan, does he need a rest? Brendan. I'm surprised there wasn't a question about Brendan in that Yorkshire Post. Yeah, get Brendan Harrison. He's rubbish. He's brilliant. No, so whether Brendan needs a change and who comes in there. But no, not wholesale changes. Calvert-Lewin's going to start. Pirro, when he came on the other day, had his shots and he's chomping at the bit. So not mass changes, but you have to tinker now and again if somebody's off and somebody's jumping at the bit, give them a go. So, but we haven't got that depth of squad that say Liverpool have or Man City, right? You can just put 2 world-class 11s out.
Yeah, the Tanaka one's interesting because this is a game for me where I possibly may have, and again, not because of bad performances, but just for the game that it is, I possibly would have taken Anton Stack out of this game, put out Tanaka in, and we'll see what the situation Willie Gnonto is coming into this game, because if he has had 2 weeks to train with the squad, if he has gotten over the calf issue, then with Brendan Aronson coming back very late from US duty, maybe it's a good shot for Willie Gnonto to go in the right-hand side. But I think the question I'm playing around with my head, Gerry, I don't know where you sit on this, is does he see Willie Gnonto as a right-sided option, or does he still view him as a left-sided player? Because he hasn't really played him on the right. And if he doesn't view him as a right-sided player, it'll be a tired Brendan Aronson that will start that game.
Well, we've seen Willie many times cut in from the right. And I think if he's fit enough, I'm not sure he would start this game. I'm not sure he'd throw him straight back in. But I think I'd prefer to see Willie in. I think he's got more about his game. Maybe defensively, Willie sometimes switches off and he forgets to defend. But when he's on it, he's on it, and he probably can. He's probably attacking wise more dangerous than Brendan.
Yeah.
But Brendan's been okay. I mean, he's worked hard. Maybe sometimes he forgets he's too busy and he forgets where his legs and his brain are. But I think if there's a change, and it's coming up to international break and long journeys, is this the time to change that? But then Brendan's been on a long journey. I noticed Romario from Spurs got a private jet back from South America every year. So these players, it's not like they're traveling economy.
No.
You're sitting on a plane and it's nice, and so I suppose lots made of that as well. But international breaks are tricky. I don't know how many Burnley have had on the international break. I'm sure most Premier League teams have a dozen players at any level away. So it'll be interesting. But Burnley's a tough place to go on a wet Saturday.
Yeah, it won't be straightforward. But for me, this is very much a game Leeds need to target for 3 points. I think the way I look at it is, it's in the must-win category for me, not because of where we are this season, but because the way I look at it is, we need 10 wins. Where those 10 wins going to come from? And I look at 2 from Wolves, 2 from Burnley, that gives you 4. You look at maybe a Sunderland as well, because they came up with you, try and target them for 2, especially we have them at Christmas. They have 9 players away with the African nations, and they've found themselves in a position now where Habib Diarra and Noah Siddiqui are both injured coming into this weekend. So that'll be interesting to see what that does for their season. So there's 6 games, and you're looking for 4 more somewhere else along the way. So you look below you and you look at Forest and maybe West Ham as well, and that ticks that box. And the sooner you can get to those points, the better. But Burnley, we weren't great against them last season, but I think they're not the same entity they were defensively. They've lost Trafford, they've lost CJ Egan-Riley, so they're not the same. They have conceded goals, but they're set up well. They're a decent size. Scott Parker's got them playing relatively well. You said at the start of this, they've been unlucky this year with some of their results as well. But the other big question, Gerry, for this one is going to be Lucas Perry or Carl Darlow in nets, assuming Lucas Perry is back to full fitness.
I can't drop Darlow at the minute. Although one of the goals he conceded the other night was very similar to the first Spurs goal. It was sort of near post. Maybe he took a deflection. I might have been too hard on him. But he's not done anything wrong, Darlow. He's made a few good saves. And I think he's got to stay in for now. Perry scared me a bit. He didn't look very agile, which is a bit of a downer for a goalkeeper. But we've not seen enough of him. I think we're just thinking of him in the Arsenal game. But Darlow, I wouldn't drop him. No, it wouldn't. But if Perry comes in, you got somebody. Darlow must be saying, "Well, I've not done anything wrong. I've earned my place. I've waited my time." Yeah. Maybe Melia. Yeah, no, maybe. Yeah, But Perry, I think Perry's fit anyway. I haven't heard. They said he'd be back, so I think he's got to wait his chance like anybody else. It's and Darlow says he's not done anything wrong, and he's been good actually. Some of the saves he made down at Fulham were superb, so I would keep him in.
Yeah, I think people need to go back to when we signed Carl Darlow first and remember what everyone was saying about him after the Salford game. People weren't convinced by Carl Darlow at that point either, but you've got to give players time to settle in. And Lucas Perry will be the very same thing. I mean, his manager Fonseca at Lyon said that he was the best goalkeeper in the world at that point. So he has some caliber. At least his manager rates him pretty highly. So he's gonna need you're not gonna get footwork with him. He's not great on the feet with the feet. That's noted, and he says it himself. And they know that they're working on that. But his shot stopping is what he's there for. And that's the ultimate job, is to stop the ball going in the back of the net. Yeah. But you've got 2 goalkeepers competing for each other, as Daniel Farkas said before the international break. I've got 4 good goalkeepers. And that's not even including Rory Mahadi, who's been called out for praise by the Scunthorpe manager as well. So he's got plenty of depth there. He's got plenty of options. One position probably we're not worried about, and we'll see what happens with Ilan Melier come January. But Gerry, before you wrap up tonight, 4 games: Burnley, West Ham, Forest, Brighton. What's a good points haul, and what's the worst case scenario?
As I said, the next 2, I'd say 4 points, and then Brighton, Forest, 2-3 points. I think Brighton's a difficult one. Forest could be on a high with a new manager. It's always a trick, tough game at Forest. You know, there's a lot of history there. You know, from Clough and Miners and everything. Oh, God, it goes way back. But
even Jesse getting sacked after that game when they went down.
Oh yeah, I saw him do an interview. A clip with an interview with your man. What do you call him? The ex-Palace guy. Yeah, and he was saying things like, maybe I should have changed things sooner. I just thought maybe you should have just went sooner, Jesse. He looks like Jeremy Kyle. That was the thing that struck me. He looks like Jeremy. I thought, what's Jeremy Kyle doing talking about Leeds? Yeah, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. So that was the question. Yeah, the points. Yeah, I think 4 from the next 2. And if we got 4 from Brighton and Forest, that'd be fantastic. I think I'd snap your hand off all day for those. So 8 points from 4 games. Wow, that'd be superb. And better, brilliant. Maybe a bit less, 6 points. I don't even know if that's possible. 6 points, not bad. Just keep it ticking over. No major defeats. There might be one defeat in there. Who knows? But I think when I'm looking at teams coming up, and you worry and you think, oh, they're Premier League. We're as good as anybody. We can compete. And teams are looking at Leeds, and every team, the Bournemouth manager, the Spurs manager, they all said that was a tough test. They're a decent team. So just 8 points from 4. I'll take that all day.
Yeah. As Sean Longstaff said, believe in yourselves. You're good enough to be here. Believe it.
Yes.
And I like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think 6-7 points would be really, really good. 9 would be great. I think but we have to make sure it's getting that next win, because all the talk has been about we've 2 wins under our belt early in the season. The promoted sides last year didn't get them till December. But if we don't pick up any wins in this block, we might end up going into December on the exact same amount of wins as they had. So it's, for me, you've already said it as well, this is a really important block of fixtures because that December schedule is not nice, and it's going to be a tough slog. So wherever we can get the points before December, try and get them nice and early and try and get into double figures quickly. You can get that 3rd and 4th win under your belt as quick as you can.
Yeah, Liverpool twice, Chelsea, Man City. Is Palace in there as well?
Liverpool twice.
Palace. Yeah, Brentford away. Thanks for changing the game to Sunday, by the way, for the Brentford game. I can't go now.
4 games changed.
I'm double booked, but I've negotiated some awkward dates around, and I've looked and thought they've not changed the Liverpool game. The Villa game's just right for it. Yeah, I'm okay. So it's Sky when the games come out. It's very stressful to see which day. But tough. It's all tough. That's why we're here. You could be going to Oxford and Cardiff and Swansea and places like that. So we'll take it. Let's get a win in London as well.
Nice, wouldn't it?
Let's win in London. Brentford's a nice little stadium. Yeah, last time, I think is that the last time we won in London when we stayed up. I think it possibly is. Yeah. So, well, same. Ireland haven't won a World Cup qualifier in 9 years at home. Apparently, somebody told me. I don't know if that's true.
That's
no
shocked at that.
7-8 years. So we need wins. You know, us Irish lads, Leeds fans, we just need wins to keep us ticking over.
We do. I'm saying the same things about both sides of the time, going, stop sitting so deep, get at them, close the gaps, push on, have a go. So we'll see. Before we wrap up, just again to remind people, these giveaway shirts that we were doing for the last week, there's a white, blue and a yellow one. There's long sleeve and short sleeve options in these as well. The 3 winners are Lee Petcher, Joe Doyle, Sam K. 4th one, actually, is... keep getting the name wrong. I'll get it right now because it's written down in front of me. Is Lee. Lee knows who they are. They've already been in touch with us as well. So go on to Back4 on Instagram, send them a message. Lee Durham, send them a message and we'll organise getting them sent out to you. And they do go on sale on Monday for a limited run. And again, as I said, I'm quite tall and long arms. The long sleeve one on the white shirt fits me like an absolute glove. It's a great fit. So has the embroidered crests, embroidered stitching, and then embroidery on the sleeve as well for the 2 different brands as well. But we'll do more of these over the course of the year as well. We've got some new merch coming out as well. We'll try and give away. And also just a little bit of shout out. If anybody is watching this who is from Amsterdam or lives in Amsterdam and knows a good spot to watch Leeds United the weekend, my plan is to head there this weekend. So if you are in and around there and you can direct me to somewhere to go to watch the Leeds game, I very much appreciate that. That would be great. Gerry, what's going on with you this week before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm going to see my lads playing in Chester. He's on the ferry from Holyhead, which he just caught, and I'm seeing him in Chester. And then it's Burnley on Saturday. I'll be going back to the 1970s at time traveling because that's what Burnley's like. I said that one of the last times I was in Burnley, there literally was people sitting at the front on a settee drinking beer with 4 teeth between them. So it's a strange place, but I'll be glad to get in and out. Yeah. So anybody from Burnley, I'm really sorry. Yeah, that's just so that's it. Yeah, Burnley gig, and hopefully celebrate.
Also, Jerry's young lad, Niall, who is very, very good, by the way, is doing a tour over in the UK as well at the moment. He's in Leeds on the 28th of November at the Oporto Club. You can check him out there as well. You can check him out on Spotify as well. I've listened to it. If you like very eclectic kind of type of music as well, there's a bit of modern Irish takes on some stuff there as well, which I really, really, really like. But yeah, very good singer, great artist. You should go and check him out. And obviously just to support Jerry on the channel as well, it'd be great to see that. But yeah, you can check out Niall McNamee.
He's my mortgage. Yeah, not really.
His retirement plan.
Well, I'm retiring. Yeah. If he buy tickets so I can retire. No.
Yeah.
Thank you,
folks. We wrap up there. Massive thanks to everyone for supporting the channel this week. Today's news is out there as well. You can check it out if you want it. And we're back tomorrow morning with the news. And there will be a match preview before the end of the week as well. But there won't be a watch along on Saturday because, well, unless this thing that I have in my head right now doesn't shift itself, and then I'll be staying home. Outside of that, I'll be away, but we'll give you more detail that towards the back end of the week. And stick a like on the video on your way out the door if you could. That'd be really appreciated, and we will talk to you soon. See you, folks. Bye.